The morning sky over Moscow was gray, quiet, and heavy with tension. No one expected that within the hour, that same sky would crack open. On November 5th, 2025, deep inside the Kremlin, 57 of Russia's top officials gathered beneath the golden double-headed eagle. President Vladimir Putin sat at the center of a long, polished table surrounded by his generals and ministers. The atmosphere was cold and formal, the air filled with the quiet hum of power. On the table lay a single folder stamped in red. Sarmat Operational Test. Final Authorization. Inside were blueprints for a limited nuclear strike on Ukraine. The plan was simple and terrifying. 3 RS-28 Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missiles, each carrying 10 nuclear warheads, would be enough to erase Kiev, Kharkiv, and Dnipro from the map in less than 8 minutes. Putin's words were calm and deliberate as he told his counsel, "We will end this war on our terms." Around the table, his generals nodded. None of them knew that every sound in that room was already being recorded by the enemy. Ukraine's Perun Sentinel, an artificial intelligence system designed for digital surveillance, had intercepted the Kremlin's encrypted satellite communications. At 10:17 a.m., its monitors flashed red. Category Omega Signal, Potential Nuclear Launch Sequence. The warning was clear. Moscow was preparing its most dangerous move yet. Beneath Kiev, inside a secret command bunker 30 meters underground, Ukrainian officers reacted immediately. The main screen displayed the Russian capital glowing red like a beating heart. "Nuclear deployment protocol detected," read the alert. General Alexander Havlenko, commander of Ukraine's digital defense, made a decision that would change history. "There is no time to retreat," he said. "We strike straight at the heart." The order was given. Ukraine would launch a combined air assault on Moscow itself, the most protected city on Earth. Russia's defense network was famous for its complexity. It included Podsolnukh long-range radar, Buk M3 missiles, Pantsir S-1 anti-air systems, and the S-500 Prometei shield, said to be invincible. For years, Moscow's air defenses were believed to be impenetrable. That day, Ukraine set out to prove otherwise. The operation had 2 phases. Phase 1 would send unmanned drones to provoke and expose Russian defenses. Phase 2 would strike deep into Moscow using manned fighter jets. At 10:42 a.m., 15 Bayraktar TB-2 drones took off from a Ukrainian airbase. They flew low, hugging the snow-covered ground, designed to appear like a swarm of enemy jets on radar. Their mission wasn't to destroy, but to confuse. Each drone cost about $5 million. Each Russian missile fired at them cost 3 times more. As they neared Moscow's outer defense ring, alarms screamed across Russian radar stations. Operators believed an air assault was underway. Within seconds, 32 interceptor missiles launched into the sky. In 40 seconds, 14 of the 15 drones were obliterated. It looked like Ukraine's attempt had failed. But war isn't math. It's timing. The 15th drone, TB2-15, slipped through a radar blind spot in a glitch lasting less than 1 second. It raced over the city's rooftops and dived straight toward the Kremlin. At 700 meters, then 400, then 120, it struck the green copper dome of the Grand Palace. The explosion was small, just 12 kilograms of explosives, but the impact was enormous. Flames burst from the roof, smoke curled into the gray sky, and for 11 minutes, Russian state media went completely dark. Civilians recorded the explosion, and within minutes, the footage flooded the internet. The unthinkable had happened. Ukraine had hit the Kremlin. But the real attack had only just begun. While Moscow's defenses scrambled to respond, Phase 2 began. From the south, 10 MiG-29 Fulcrum jets thundered through the clouds. These weren't ordinary aircraft. They had been upgraded with stealth coatings, infrared suppressors, and digital camouflage, making them nearly invisible to radar. Each carried 2 Kh-29T air-to-surface missiles, guided by heat and radar sensors, aimed straight at the Kremlin's command center. At 11:02 a.m., the formation dove from 9,000 meters. The roar of their engines shook the air as 20 missiles detached and streaked toward Moscow. The city's defenses reacted instantly. Panzer cannons fired bursts of autocannon shells. Buk launchers released volleys of interceptors, and the S-500 shield lit up, filling the sky with smoke trails and bursts of fire. For 10 chaotic seconds, the air over Moscow turned into a battlefield of explosions and vapor. 18 of the 20 incoming missiles were destroyed, but 2 got through. They slammed into the Kremlin's guest complex only a few hundred meters from Putin's main bunker. The twin detonations echoed through Red Square like thunder. Windows shattered, sirens wailed, and smoke poured from the Kremlin's walls. 5 senior officials were killed, 20 others injured, including military advisors and aides. 1 Ukrainian MiG, tail number K-27, took a direct hit from shrapnel. With 1 stabilizer gone and an engine on fire, the pilot fought to stay airborne. He managed to guide the damaged jet back toward Ukraine, landing on 1 engine and surviving the impossible. Putin, hidden deep underground, was unharmed, but his invincible image was gone. The attack wasn't meant to kill him. It was meant to send a message. Ukraine had just told Russia and the world, "We can reach you whenever we choose." In Kiev, there was no celebration. Inside the control room, officers read a single line from their mission report. Primary strategic objective achieved. Demonstrated ability to strike the Russian command center. The goal wasn't vengeance, it was leverage. Ukraine had proved that even Moscow's heart could be pierced. News of the attack spread around the world in minutes. The event became known as the Night of the Broken Sky. The ruble dropped 19% in just 6 hours. 41 private jets left Moscow that day, carrying the families of government officials and wealthy elites. Across Russian cities, people gathered silently in the streets, staring upward at the dark sky. They said nothing. They didn't need to. For the first time in decades, they understood that Russia was no longer untouchable. In Washington, Berlin, and Beijing, secure phone lines buzzed without pause. World leaders asked the same question. If Ukraine could strike the Kremlin today, where could it strike tomorrow? Inside the Kremlin itself, Putin sat wordless as his generals briefed him. Power, once shaken, never feels safe again. The attack didn't end the war, but it changed everything. Ukraine had transformed from a nation fighting for survival into one capable of striking at the very core of its enemy's power. The myth of Russian invincibility was shattered forever. For ordinary people, however, the cost was immense. Russian mothers feared another wave of mobilization. Ukrainian families braced for retaliation. Children in Kiev tried to sleep through the sound of distant sirens. Every victory came with new loss, and every step forward carried the weight of sorrow. When asked what the operation meant, General Havlenko said quietly, "We do not need to win today. We only need them to understand that we can win." Wars do not always end with the loudest explosions, but with the silence afterward, when both sides finally realize that the price of continuing is too high. After the strike on Moscow, that silence spread across the world. Russia could no longer claim invulnerability, and Ukraine could no longer be dismissed as a weaker nation. The sky over Moscow had cracked open, and from that day on, nothing in the war or the world would ever be the same again.